Have you ever wondered if there's a secret formula for making the perfect decision? You know, some kind of hidden science that powers everything from your Amazon delivery getting to you on time to the crazy flight prices you see online? Well, turns out there is, and we're about to pull back the curtain on it.
I mean, really think about it for a second. How does a company like UPS figure out the single most efficient route for thousands of delivery trucks every single day? Or how does a whole city manage its traffic lights to keep things from grinding to a halt? These aren't just lucky guesses, right? These are incredibly complex puzzles, and you need a seriously powerful tool to solve them. And that tool is called Operations Research, or just OR for short. So what is it? At its core, OR is all about using math and science to make the absolute best possible decision when you don't have unlimited resources. And let's be honest, who does? We're always short on time, money, or materials. OR is the science of being optimal. Now, what's so fascinating to me is where this whole field came from. You might think it was invented in some high-tech lab or university, but no. This powerful method for creating efficiency and order was actually born from the total chaos of war. That's right. During World War II, the military had these massive logistical problems. Things like, what's the best way to deploy our new radar systems? Or how can we protect our supply convoys from enemy attack? So they brought in teams of scientists to crunch the numbers. And after the war, these same experts thought, hey, if this can work on the battlefield, why can't it work in a boardroom or a factory? And this idea spread like wildfire. Take India, for example, which was a really early adopter. It kicked off in a research lab in 1949, and just look at this timeline. That same year, it was already being used for military supply chains. By 1953, it was helping with national planning for the whole country. It just goes to show you how incredibly versatile OR was, right from the get-go. So that brings us to today. And you should really think of OR less as one single technique and more like a giant, powerful toolbox. It's filled with all sorts of methods and models to tackle pretty much any complex problem you can throw at it. Let's start with a big one: money. I mean, how do huge companies navigate the incredibly high-stakes world of finance and budgeting? Well, they're using OR to model practically everything. It helps them build the perfect investment portfolio, one that balances just the right amount of risk and reward. Or it can figure out exactly what their credit policies should be to attract the best, most reliable customers. It's all about making every single dollar work smarter, not just harder. Okay, so what about marketing? How do you decide where to put your ad budget, or exactly how many salespeople you need on the ground? You guessed it, OR has the tools for that, too. It can actually help a company predict what a competitor might do next or calculate the perfect mix of TV, social media, and print ads to reach the most eyeballs for the least amount of money. It's basically the hidden math behind why those specific ads seem to follow you all over the internet. All right, let's move from the digital world into the physical one, the world of actually making and moving stuff. This is where ODOT is an absolute powerhouse. Seriously, OR is the invisible brain behind almost every single product you touch. It's what helps a company decide the one best location to build a massive warehouse to cut down on shipping times. It's what schedules a factory floor down to the minute to avoid those expensive bottlenecks. It is, quite literally, what makes our entire modern supply chain possible. But, and this is so important, this isn't just about making corporations more profitable. The potential here is so much bigger. As this quote points out, the very same tools can be used to tackle some of our biggest societal challenges, like figuring out the most efficient way to distribute food to fight hunger. It's about optimizing for humanity. So, you're probably wondering, okay, how does this actually work? How do you take a messy, real-world problem and get a clean, optimal solution? Well, it all starts with building something called a model. Now, don't let that technical definition scare you. All a model is a simplified version of reality. Think of it like a blueprint for a house or a map of a city. It's a safe place, a sandbox, where you can test out all your different ideas and see what might happen without any of the real-world consequences. Okay, so this formula might look a little intimidating, but I promise the idea behind it is super simple. Let's use an analogy: baking a cake. O here is your objective, the most delicious, perfect cake imaginable. The X's are all the things you can control: how much sugar to add, how long to bake it. And the Y's? Those are the things you can't control: the weird hot spots in your oven, the humidity in the kitchen. The model is just the recipe that shows you how all those ingredients and factors connect to create the final result. So when you get right down to it, building one of these models is a pretty logical three-step process. First, you have to be crystal clear about your goal. What are you trying to do? Maximize profit? Minimize waste? Second, you identify all the moving parts, what you can change and what you're stuck with. And finally, you have to define your limits, your constraints, like your budget can't go over $1 million or you only have 24 hours in a day. All right, let's zoom out and bring this all together. We've seen where OR came from, the incredible range of things it can do, and kind of how it works. But why does any of this really matter? What's the big picture here?
Because at the end of the day, operations research does one thing that feels almost like magic. It takes these unbelievably complex, messy, confusing situations, and it gives you a clear, logical, data-driven path forward. It lets you replace guesswork with actual strategy. And the impact of that is just enormous. It leads to a world with so much less waste, where we're using our precious resources to their absolute full potential. And that ultimately means better, cheaper, and more efficient systems and services for every single one of us, from the products we buy to the cities we live in. So the next time you see a complex system that just works flawlessly, a busy airport, a packed stadium, anything, you can bet operations research is humming away behind the scenes. And that really just leaves us with one final big question. With all the massive challenges facing our world, from healthcare to climate change, what's the next big thing we should point this powerful science at?